According to Iranian reports, the country's intelligence minister saying he has no doubt the three are spies and is now calling on Washington to propose a prisoner swap. No word from the Obama administration so far on this latest move, but Alex Fatal, the brother of one of the hikers, was on our network earlier today, and he had this to say.
We've heard all sorts of statements over the last 9.5 months. If Iran believes it has any case against them, they should move forward and try them in court openly and transparently.
The mothers of the three hikers had just returned to the United States from Iran. They did this on Saturday, yesterday, where they were able to see their children for the first time in 10 months for just a short amount of time.
Well, Iran is now saying it may abandon a deal to swap atomic fuel with Turkey and Brazil if the United States and its allies impose new sanctions. Now, the deal is similar to one proposed by the International Atomic Energy Agency last summer, but Iranian leaders are balked at that swap. So what in the world is going on? Joining us now, international security expert Jim Walsh, a research associate at the MIT Security Studies Program. Jim, good to see you.
Good to see you.
I was reading the LA Times, which calls this three-party deal between Iran, Turkey, and Brazil, quote, a stunning breakthrough. In truth, it may be neither a breakthrough nor stunning because some experts are claiming it's a blatant deception to stall and avoid more sanctions while continuing to enrich uranium. Is that what's going on here?
Well, the bottom line really, Greg, is we don't know because the Iranians have not filed a letter with the United Nations, with the International Atomic Energy Agency that has the details. And as you well know, the devil is in the details. But if you step back, I would agree with you. It's not a major breakthrough. I think it would be a modest step, a positive step. But you're also right to say that many suspect that it is being used to avoid sanctions. Yeah. So what started out 8 months ago as a confidence-building measure and then turned into a litmus test when both sides said take it or leave it, has now devolved into what appears to be a tactic to avoid sanctions. Right. So we've come a long way in 8 months.
So does this Turkey-Brazil swap really constitute a diplomatic end run, which, Jim, will in the end make it harder for the United States to gain support for a new round of meaningful sanctions? And I note parenthetically that Russia's already talking about putting the whole thing on hold pending the outcome of this Turkey-Brazil deal.
Well, you know, I would like to see, regardless of what we do on sanctions, and you know, we've talked about this many times, Greg, I don't think sanctions are the magic wand that's going to solve this. But right. In any case, I don't want Iran to enrich to 20%. You can't make a nuclear weapon with 20% enriched uranium, but it certainly gets you further down that path in a significant way. If the deal doesn't go through, they're going to probably announce that they're going to continue enriching at 20%
sure.
in order to make the fuel, which they actually cannot do. I don't think that most people doubt that they can do that. But if they take the deal and the result is they have no excuse for enriching to 20%, I consider that, again, a modest outcome. Mm-hmm. But, you know, again, we have to see what the details are. Sure. Iranian officials have already said that they were going to take the deal and enrich to 20%, which, you know, sort of takes the blush off the rose.
Right. Well, now let's talk about, you know, what the Obama administration thinks is somehow a magic wand, the fourth round of new sanctions now. And in fairness, none of the sanctions authored by the Bush administration did a darn thing. But these new ones do not conspicuously target Iran's central bank, and they don't even touch, Jim, the one element of Iran's infrastructure that could actually cripple and motivate them, which is their oil and gas imports. So will these new sanctions prove to be ineffective?
Well, again, we're still haggling over final language. We don't know what the final thing will say, but judging in advance, it's highly unlikely. As you say, Greg, we've done this multiple times. It's highly unlikely we're going to get a particular resolution that's suddenly going to magically transform the situation. Now, to be fair, the Iranians obviously don't want to be sanctioned, right? Because we just finished talking about the fact that they've accepted a deal and that deal may be part of a way to avoid sanctions. So they don't want to be sanctioned, but, if they had their choice. But right. It's not going to impose any penalty that's going to force them to give up their nuclear program.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, that's going to
right.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But let me ask you this one. I got to squeeze this. We're almost out of time. Both Russian and U.S. officials apparently are confirming that while the draft UN resolution limits global arms transfer, it does nothing to block the critical transfer to Tehran of Russia's S-300 air defense systems that are effective against missiles and aircraft, right?
Right, that's the most interesting part. Because Russia had already agreed to sell these missiles would make it difficult to attack Iranian nuclear sites. But the Russians, you know, the Russians are clever, so they've dangled these missiles and never quite got around to shipping them. They keep postponing the date. So I think they want to hold on to that as leverage. And so they're protecting it as a string that they can use later.
Yeah, they just haven't gotten around to sending them. I think they're having trouble with FedEx. Jim Walsh. Thanks for, I'm just kidding. Jim Walsh, thanks very much.
Thank you, Greg.